Okay. So let's pick up on Yosef for a minute. So Yosef has a very surprising statement in this week's parasha. After he reveals himself to his brothers, and not surprisingly, they are nivhalum mipanav. They don't know what to say. What does he say to them?
It wasn't you guys that.
Yes. V'ata al te'atzvu yichar b'nechem k'marchartam osiyena ki l'mechya shelachani Elohim lifnechem ki zeh shnatayim rav b'kerev haaretz v'od 5 shanim asher ein charish ba'aretz v'yishacheni Elohim lifnechem lasum lechem shiris ba'aretz ulachayos lachem lifleita gdola. Don't worry about it. It wasn't you. It was God. Now, this pasuk is extremely problematic. Now, you could read it. If you read it straight, it would sound... Well, right, if you wanted to read it in its most literal form, which I think is just obviously incorrect, then what would this pasuk mean? Yeah, like, don't worry about it. Like, you're not morally culpable. God was behind this. Big deal. God sent me to save you, and that's all there is to it. Now, that is just not correct. It's just not correct. Why is that not correct? Yes, thank you. Like, they did something wrong. It may have turned out well, but God holds people culpable. So, for example, this is a microcosm of the machloket that you have about the Mitzrim, which is, how could God say, you're going to be slaves, but when you're finished, I'm going to punish the people who enslaved you? Right, that's what Hashem says. Right? You will be ger beres lo lachem v'inut. You will be oppressed, and the goy which does it, dan anochi, I'm going to judge them. It's predicted. The answer is, so there are variations on a theme, but basically either yes, they were going to be slaves, but they acted more intensely, or just because they're going to be slaves and that's predicted doesn't mean you had to do it. The fact that you chose to do it means that it's your fault. So I can't imagine that Yosef is saying, oh, well, you did this, but you're not morally culpable. So what would be a more attenuated reading, which I think is probably the pshat here?
Even though you did something bad, it's also not okay?
Well, yeah, or maybe push it a little bit more, which is, yes, you did something wrong, but I'm not going to take revenge. Because, right, I forgive you because this was part of God's plan, and, I'm willing to overlook, meaning something along the lines of, it's not my responsibility to take revenge on you. And that's not my job. Right? My job, and this is very much the way the Rambam views revenge, right? Why does the Rambam say that revenge is asur, theologically? Right? The Rambam doesn't think that revenge is an interpersonal sin. Certain Rishonim think that revenge is bad because it's interpersonally bad. Right? It just perpetuates fights. But why does the Rambam say revenge is wrong? Right, he says, because Akol Eitzel Mevinim Hevel Vavai Shein Roi Linkom Aleim, or something like that, almost an exact quote. Right, that everything among those who understand the broader picture realize that in the big picture is not worth it. Because God has a plan for the world, and therefore, what? Well, why are you going to take revenge? What is the point? Right? You're taking things too personally rather than looking at the big picture in which God has a plan. This fits into it, however it fits into it. That doesn't mean that God won't judge the people. It doesn't mean that there isn't justice in the world. It means it's not your job to mete out justice. My guess is that is more what Yosef is saying. That's his theological claim. Now, one of my friends, actually two of my friends, made the point once, David Block and Emmanuel Shalev in an Aleph Beta video about this, that, and I've said this before, that fundamentally this is a good closing to Breshit, the fact that it closes it both in Vayigash and in Vayechi, because Breshit is a lot of stories of people trying to be like God, right, of trying to judge what's good and bad and taking things in their own hands, like Cain and Hevel and things like that. Right, that is like the problem from the beginning, or Adam and Chava trying to be like God. And for someone to say, look, whatever you did, I'm leaving God. I have trust that God is going to take care of things, and I'm not going to try to judge you. I'm not going to try to act as the Dayan here. I'm not going to try to deal with, bring the consequences of divine justice myself. That's a big deal, especially in this case, depending on how you believe what Yosef was doing until now, right? Meaning, it could be, right, there's a huge machlokas about why Yosef was torturing his brothers until now. If he was doing it because until now he really was taking revenge or bringing out justice, for him to eventually say, you know what? I'm not. Now, it could be that's his plan the whole time. This is a machlokas. But definitely if you think that Yosef was taking revenge and then it clicked and said, you know what? I'm not going to. It's even more of a fitting end to Bereshit, where finally someone says, you know what? God is God and I am man, and my responsibility is to leave that type of stuff to God. And you get that again in the end of Bereshit, after Yaakov dies, because they still don't believe him that he's not taking revenge, so they lie ostensibly to him and say, Yaakov said, don't take revenge, and he says, Vayomer Alehem Yosef, this is in Vayechi, Al Tiro ki atachad Elohim ani. He's even more clear, which is, it's not that you didn't do something wrong. I'm just not God. I'm just not God. And again, Bereshit started with men literally trying to be God. So for it to end with someone saying, I'm not punishing you, not because you didn't do anything wrong, you did, but I'm not God, and this fits into God's plan. In Vayechi, it's much clearer, in Pshat, that in Vayigash, he doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong and you're not culpable. It's just you did something wrong, but that's not my that's not my issue. Because the next pasuk is Va'atem chashavtem alai ra'ah. You intended evil, right? He's very clear. You intended evil. Elohim chashav l'tova l'mana kayom hazelach yoram rav. But God made it good because He wanted me to support you. V'atal tiranu chiach al kodchem v'etapchem v'enachem otam v'yidaber al libam. And which is again, that's why in Pshat I think that it's really the second one is what Yaakov is saying. And I'm not sure I said this last year, Zev. You can tell me if I said it last year. This is speculation, but I think it might be right. But I'm speculating. I can't prove it. Which is the following. It could be, and there is some support to this in some of the Targumim, is that Yosef thinks that that Yaakov talks about the fact that his life has been blessed, he's been guided by a malach who's been taking care of him. It could be that Yosef sees himself as taking this role, that's why he was taken, but let me just find the indication 1 second. You see it partially in the brachot of Yosef, where he talks about the fact that Yosef's bracha is birchot shamayim me'al, birchot tahom, these brachot of food and sustenance of rain, and things like that. I'm not going to get full into it, but if you look at some of the Targumei Eretz Yisrael, you'll see this as well. I'll leave it for now. But I maybe I'll prove it next week when we get to the brachot. But I do wonder whether Yosef, is picking up on certain cues from Yaakov's brachot and the way he describes the way God dealt with him theologically, and sees himself as fulfilling that role. But again, I still think that the simplest pshat and what he's saying again is not that you're off the hook. It's that there's a recognition that even if someone is morally culpable, that doesn't mean you have to take revenge. Recognizing that you're a cog in God's plan is a reason for you to look beyond that. Again, and I've mentioned this many times, that this is really what the Rambam says Nekama is about. Right? The reason Nekama is wrong is not because the person didn't do something wrong and doesn't deserve to be punished. It's because in the big picture, someone who's theologically attuned to the big picture of the world realized that it's just not worth you being the one to do it. Okay, so let's